and that's monetizing Wi-Fi. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Klaus.
Great to have you. So Zach, can you tell us a little bit, for the viewers that are not familiar with Front Porch, a little bit about the company and what you do?
Certainly. So Front Porch has been around since 1998. We've worked with a lot of the largest carrier Wi-Fi initiatives here in the US. The Cable Wi-Fi Consortium uses our messaging platform to make sure they get the right message, the right user at the right time. We have customers also in Europe and Asia who use our platform. Sometimes the messaging platform is used for communication of upselling new connectivity packages, app downloads, that sort of thing. And other times with third-party advertising, sponsorship, depending upon if it's a free Wi-Fi network or if it's a carrier Wi-Fi network. We see some different models in different places being used.
Right. So you, and you just mentioned that you're actually supplying your technology to some of the biggest Wi-Fi carriers out there, including, I don't know if it's everybody in the Cable Wi-Fi Alliance, but it's certainly TWC, Cox, Comcast. Can you share with us the secret, if you like, of Wi-Fi monetization for carriers like that?
Well, the model that's the reason there's Wi-Fi and carrier Wi-Fi in particular in the US has been largely used to reduce churn. So the more that you make, the more amenities you can add to your package for all your users, the less likely they're going to look for somebody else to give them their bandwidth. So the first and foremost reason is to provide a really good user experience with Wi-Fi. One of our customers, for example, here in the States, they war drive and they make sure that their Wi-Fi is 3 times as fast as any mobile alternative in any one location. So they make sure that they have a lot of Wi-Fi bandwidth everywhere. It's great coverage. So that's really what they're building this for. And there's other models in other countries and in other regions. So monetization tends to be a secondary issue, but it's a really nice icing on the cake if you can make it work. And so the different things we see happen, oftentimes you'll see a bifurcation. Someone logs on. I'll give you one example of one network. This actually is a European network. So people log on and they have a choice. Do they want to get free Wi-Fi with ad supported, or do they want to pay, I think it's €1 an hour, or do they have a roaming arrangement with one of the other carriers? So they get an alternative. In that particular network, I think the statistic is 94% choose the ad support. So they get an advertisement that allows them, they'll see, I think they get a video roll every 15 minutes or something like that. So see a video, then they free internet access, then another video, then free internet access, something akin to the television model.
Right. So you're well known for ad injection technology, right, into the browser. But what you're mentioning here is actually that you're basically delivering the entire user experience from the point at which the person logs on, selects the service that he wants, and then once that person is past that, you can still presumably communicate with that user through the browser, right, with ad injection. Is that how it works?
Exactly. And I would say that the advertising component is a smaller component that are, as we've been doing this for quite a long time, and the highest value ad is a first party. So if you can promote your own products and services, if you have, the average carrier may have, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 apps, may not get a lot of people downloading them, may not get a lot of usage on them. We've had a lot of success promoting apps through this little, the overlay that comes into the screen. And we see that that's the highest. You can increase your ARPU that way. The third-party advertising does work, but it's the messaging overall, making sure the consumer is onboarded, gets a good experience, has alternatives that apply, that are applicable to them in the context that they're surfing. It's the overall user experience.
Right, exactly. And maybe we can show, I know Zach sent us a video that we can show to show people a little bit about what Front Porch is enabling here in terms of the user experience. I think the example is from an NFL stadium. Is that correct?
It's a venue here in the US. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And can we run the video, and then maybe Zach can roughly tell us, you're not going to be able to see it, Zach, because it's just part of our technical setup here, but maybe you can roughly tell us what's going on in the video.
I'll imagine it, you bet.
Okay. Go ahead.
So again,
yeah.
So the video is basically shows a user surfing, they're surfing on their phone, and as they're surfing, a little icon slides up from the Coliseum. Let's say they're at a stadium, they're watching a game, and they have these options. They can get more information from the Coliseum itself, maybe get a download of an app that applies to that Coliseum or that venue. Or they can choose another option, which is to get an app for the team that's playing at that time. Or another option, let's buy some products and services. Or yet another option would be to buy some food and food services at that Coliseum. The idea is to have an app experience without actually having to download an app. So through the web browser, we're able to make the user, no matter where they're sitting, what device they're using, Android, Google, et cetera, Android or Apple, or et cetera, they'll all get the same web app and get the same experience. And you'll be able to communicate with everyone who comes on your premise. That's the basic
right, exactly.
concept.
That's the concept. And is there any sort of major difference between the types of venues that you serve? For example, I presume, I mean, this is a sports type venue, and for the cable carriers out there, their Wi-Fi, or is it more or less the same thing? And what are the models involved?
Well, the basic premise that you want to make sure you have a good user experience is the commonality, but there's very different ways of implementing. So if you have a chain of fast food stores, let's say you're a McDonald's, a Burger King, a Wendy's, whatever it might be, your goal is to get people in there and you want to upsell something. You want to make sure that they, instead of just buying a drink, they get a supersized drink, that sort of thing. So you can make promotions while they're on premise and make sure they buy more. Other folks just want people to stay longer. The longer you have people's dwell time, the longer they stay, the more coffee they drink, that sort of thing. So there's different types of ways of promoting products and services depending upon the venue and what they're trying to accomplish.
And I remember when we spoke at the Mobile World Congress earlier this year, you mentioned various models. You also mentioned actually onboarding. And I kind of like that idea that, for example, a carrier can go out and give away free Wi-Fi and possibly get another marketing channel or an onboarding channel through doing that.
That's one of our favorite use cases. You have this great Wi-Fi, you've rolled it out everywhere. Your users, your current users are getting Wi-Fi everywhere they go in your coverage area. But all the transients, all the folks who aren't your current customers, they're coming on. What sort of experience can you give them that brings them into your overall fold? And then your ARPU just goes through the roof. That's one of the highest returns on investment right there.
Right. So Zach, tell us, how do you see the future of the, if you like, the public Wi-Fi movement? We're seeing a lot of activity, especially in the United States. It has been accelerating, I think, over the last year or two. What do you see? What do you think is going to happen over the next year or two?
If I knew that, I'd make a lot of money on the stock market. But I think that something you mentioned at the very beginning of this program, that there's already over 2 billion devices. It's increasing to over 4 billion in just a few years. We're going to see more users with more devices, connecting more places, needing more bandwidth, using business cases we haven't maybe even come up with yet. So I think that the sheer cacophony of the marketplace is one of the biggest challenges for us as folks who are trying to provide these services. And I think that in some markets, you see one or two carriers have really invested a lot already in Wi-Fi. They've got a first mover advantage. I think that there's going to be a lot of follow-up, that you're going to see a lot of overlapping Wi-Fi networks all over the place. And you're going to see a lot more, I think, roaming arrangements where suddenly someone who is in Denmark and he's traveling to Spain and then traveling somewhere else, they're going to get a seamless experience everywhere they work. I mean, that's what Hotspot 2.0 is about. And I think that is going to make it really possible to do a lot more over-the-top type projects and services for users.
Fantastic. And we really want to thank you for coming on the show. And we also